you have two different steps: database migration assessment or assistant, and then data migration, actual database migration tool. Okay, so for assessment or assistance, we have the first step where we'll go and assess the database, and then actual migration will happen using the database migration tool. There are two steps involved. First step is to go and assess the database, whether it is compatible, whether there are any security issues, whether we have to kind of any feature will be missing. So all those things we'll assess first, because like you might have an older version in the destination Azure side, we might have maybe SQL latest version, and it might not support certain features and stuff. Maybe it might impact your application. So it will go and it will verify and tell you that compared to the source, the destination will not support these features, these options. You have to work with the application team to confirm whether that feature is really needed or whether we are good to go and migrate it. So it is again a two-step procedure. Okay, even the database migration, it is a two-step process. Okay, we'll see both the steps. Okay, let's give it a minute. Okay, if it complete, we'll also keep it ready with all the packages and bundle. Okay, hopefully the VM is now ready. It's running. Let's try to log in. Okay, it's ready for login. Okay, so this will have all the SQL bundle and all those things pre-installed. We don't have to go and install the SQL again, because we selected the image which had the SQL Server 2017 and the SQL Server Management Studio. All these things will be pre-installed because it is a SQL with operating system. Okay, so OS with SQL, I would say. Yeah, maybe we can just prepare this VM for, if time permits, we can also try out some steps here. Let's see. Just testing our patience. Okay. Still close to 20 GB. So totally we have 30 GB capacity, right? The OS drive itself is 30 GB, so it will have to copy another 10 GB. Yeah, but again, only 12 GB, 13 GB is used, but it will copy the entire partition. Whether it is like only 12 GB or whatever, it's going to copy the entire size. Oh, 12 GB, 13 GB free, which means like 17 GB is used. Okay. Also, this 1 GB is not a good bandwidth. It should support, I mean, we should have selected a VM with larger capacity. Also, we don't need that additional VM which we created. We can go and remove that third VM which we created for safer side. Okay, that is again a T2 micro, right? That shouldn't be a problem. But anyways, I'll just go and terminate the process server 2. I'm selecting the process server 2. Okay.
Stan?
Yeah.
So post the replication, So it's going to be cut over and then
Yeah,
completing the migration. That's it,
correct.
right?
Right.
So the process is discover, assessment,
Yeah.
um, starting the
Replicate.
replication, and
Yeah,
then
and
cut
then
over
migrate.
and completing
Correct.
the complete the
Yeah.
migration. So during the assessment,
Hmm.
does it give the estimated time based on the source VM and the connectivity between the Azure site recovery and the configuration server appliance which we have uh, uh, built in the AWS or any destination end, right? So
Yeah.
do we,
So
is there any option? Can we get, yeah,
let's see. Let's see this process server
because
last heartbeat.
definitely this question will be coming up from the business side about what is
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, that
expected
is
time.
true. But
Yeah.
again, no, no, but the RPO is something they defined, right? We have to, the initial migration, it will go for a longer time. Okay, so 30 GB bandwidth, you can see like end to end, you have to start from end to end, right? So we need to check the AWS side, and the internet bandwidth and the Azure side, all those things. Every end to end things comes into place. But after the first synchronization is complete, you will be able to see the RPO, RTO details, meaning how much data difference is there between the source and destination. But the actual time for migration, it depends on case to case. You need to put together maybe in some third party site. You can enter how much bandwidth we have on the source, how much internet bandwidth you can utilize, and then destination. You can come up with some rough numbers, but at the end, the real time situation might be different. The internet bandwidth might be shared across different workload. So they are not going to commit you anything, or they are not going to tell you that it is going to be 10 hours or 20 hours, but we can go with some rough numbers. Like, for example, if the internet site says it will take at least 6 hours for migration, you can say at least 8 hours just to be on the safer side, something like that. But here, ideally, with for 30 GB, I would say it should not take more than 2.5 hours maximum. Okay, so ideally it should complete by
Okay.
2 hours. I'm just going with some 30 minutes extra buffer. But yeah, let's see. So here, I don't know why it is still stuck with 19 GB for a long time. Now the replication is very slow. It was very fast earlier. Maybe let's see. And I'm a little worried here because it is still stuck with 0% for a longer time. But again, if there is some issue, you should see some warning here in any of these option in the throughput or whatever. It should be showing you some warning message. Uh,
Stan,
yeah, yeah.
so we are looking at the progress status under
Mm,
the RS Vault,
mm.
but the actual migration was kicked off from the Azure Migrate. So
Yeah,
it's
Azure
a,
Migrate
uh,
is the centralized console, but at the end it will redirect you to the actual different paths. See, even if you look at here, it was showing a hyperlink to again the RS Vault only. See, whatever we
mhm,
are seeing here, it will
right.
redirect you to the same screen. Azure Migrate is a centralized console to look at all different migrations like server, database, VDI, and all those different workload. And on the back end, Microsoft uses different third-party tools also. Okay, they have just branded it as a Azure Migrate as a single console, but then on the back end, it uses different assessment tools, different purchased tools, and all those things. So if you click on this, it will again take you to the same screen where exactly the replication is going on. So it will take you to the same exact
Right.
screen.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
it's just to have the project
Yeah.
created so that we can
Correct.
see
A
the
dashboard view. Because some
just
people,
a right.
the project manager will ask for access to this kind of console where they can pull the report or what is happening and so on. But the actual migration engineer will have access to the actual resources.
The RS Vault. Right. Okay.
Yeah. See, it's done. It's completed, in fact. Waiting for the first recovery point, meaning the replication is completed. Now the first RPO is getting generated. So it will say like now the first RPO will be some 2 minutes or 10 minutes difference between the source and destination. Replication is completed actually. Maybe I'm not sure if it is showing I was not able to refresh the screen properly or whatever, but now it is on the wait for first recovery point, which means it is already replicated. So now
Yeah,
that's why I
previously it
see that
was
there is a, yeah, that's why it is very slow now. See, it has completed by 19 GB itself. Maybe the earlier like there was some capacity and then it replicated only the remaining content. See, it is very slow progress. See, earlier it was not like that. It was just keep on sending, pushing data, but it's very less data getting replicated. Now it's done actually. So the replication is almost, I mean, it's closed. Now it's waiting for the first recovery point. Looks like we'll be able to complete it today. I thought this will take me to tomorrow as well, but yeah, let's see. So let's not look at that. Let's look at this server, the SQL database. So for the SQL database, I can log into the SQL Management Studio and then try to create some databases or some sample things. So you have to assume this is a source database server which you have. It can be in any location, on-prem or cloud or whatever, third-party cloud. At the end, you need to have connectivity. That's the important thing. Public internet connectivity should be had, or if it is on-prem, you should have express route or any VPN connection. You should have network connectivity. Network plays the first step, or it's the first thing that you need to check. Okay, let this open. Data pending for upload is 0 GB, which is done, fully completed. All these tools are testing our patience a lot. That 32 GB RAM I have given, but still SQL Server Management Studio, it is taking its own time to load. Looks like 32 GB is not sufficient.
so Stan.
Yeah,
Previously, it was showing a 0% synchronized, and now it's showing
yeah,
waiting for the first recovery
correct.
point. So
Yeah,
the replication is completed, and it's just trying to set the first
first
recovery
RPO.
point of the
Correct.
automation.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
that is true. Yeah. In fact, it should slowly show us like 10%, 20%, and all those things. I've seen that maybe possibly I did not go to the complete console out and come back. It did not properly get refreshed. So even in my previous session recording, if you are having access to my Tamil session or other session recording, you'll be able to see the percentages. So it will clearly show like 10%, 30, 40, and all those things. Let's see. It stopped here. So this is the indication, okay, whether there is some thing happening or not. Even if you look at here, this one will also might have the replication. If it is not going actively, this will be on waiting state now. There is very less connection now. Earlier it was connected through multiple port. So now it is showing only one 9443 and there's a couple of 9443. Earlier it was multiple connections and replication was in the peak stage. There are 4 active connections. Okay, at least this console is now connected. You can connect using either SQL authentication or Windows authentication. I have enabled both options. Okay, so this is a plain server. It does not have any thing. I can just go and create a database. I can call this as on-prem DB1 or whatever. Okay, and I can also create one more database. AWS DB1, just for naming purpose. I'm just giving some random names. Okay, I can just go and create some tables. I can give it a name. I can accept 10 characters, that's fine. Can give it a number. I can just accept numeric. I'll just call it as location. Okay, some data. Okay, whatever you want to just fill in, you can just fill in whatever columns and things you want to. I just want to give some text here. Okay, and I can just save it. Okay, I can just save this table as Saturday class table. Okay, so once the table is ready, I can just go and insert some contents into that. Edit. Okay, edit top 100 rows, 200 should be fine. I'll just give it a name, Ganesh, number 1, US, Bala, number 2, India. Okay, so India is all good, but just for record purpose, I'm just putting some names here. Okay, that's it. So 4 names should be fine. Okay, we'll create one more table in another. Okay, let's save this. Okay, we have a database, we have a table, we have some contents inside that. I can just go and list it. So I'm able to see the data now. Okay, I'm able to see the 5 entries. So last entry did not get added. Maybe I entered more characters, SATHIAYA. Okay, yeah, I missed. I added a lot of characters there. Okay, so I can also add any additional table. If you want more tables, you can just keep it. I don't want to give it any name. I'll just say this name, number, and save some blank table. Okay, Sunday class, something like that. Okay, fine. So we have got a database, we have got a table. Now, in order to do the migration, you need to have a database migration assistant tool that should be downloaded. Okay, so let me do one thing. I'll go to the console here, and under the console, under the Azure Migrate, go to databases, and you will be able to see the assessment tool first. So click here to add an assessment tool. So maybe let me use the same project, but here it is giving you 2 options, whether I want to use the third-party cloud pilot. Cloud pilot is heavily used by a lot of organization if they have a very kind of diverse applications or diverse databases and so on. But this is a free tool. Okay, so Azure Migrate Database Assessment is a free tool. You can use that. Okay, I can click on add. Okay, Unify Cloud Pilot is also very good, but if you have diverse workload like Postgres and a lot of different things, you can use that. So now let's go and download the database migration assessment tool. I'll just copy the link and I will just go and download it on that particular system which I want to do the assessment. Chrome is not there, right? It's all done, huh? Okay, good. Let's try to download. If it downloads here, I'll use the same thing, or else I'll go and use the Chrome browser. Okay, looks like it is responding. Okay, migration assistant download. So you can download the version for your okay, so let's go and run that. So this application requires .NET 4.8, please install. Okay, fine. Okay, I'll install the .NET Framework 4.8. Does it come along with the OS, the 4.8, or we have to go and download it separately? 4.8. Any idea? Let's try that. I think 4.5 comes default, right?
For 2016, right?
This is 2019, I guess. This is 2019 data center.
Okay. 2016, I think 4.6 by
It
default it
comes
will come.
4.6.
Yeah,
This is 4.7. Okay,
7.
we are
Okay.
missing by one version. Okay, yeah. I think then we need to download it from online only. Download .NET 4.8. So if you are a developer, you can download the developer package also, but we are just going to install the runtime. We just need the runtime to install it. Okay, if you are a developer, you can select yes, and it will give you some more documentation and the bundle for the SDK. Okay, let's give it a minute. I'll also go here. Did we download or we directly started running? Okay, I'll go and download the database migration assistant. So it is asking me 2016 is minimum. Oh, .NET 4.7.2 is enough. Okay, I thought only 4.8, even 4.7.2 is okay. Okay, this is all fine. Okay, I'll download it this time. Okay, where are we with the installation of .NET? It's going on. 4.7.2, 64-bit or above. So if you want to migrate your databases from on-prem to Azure platform, the first step is to do the assessment. The database migration assistant tool will help you to detect the compatibility, feature issues, and all those things. So that is what we are doing now. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this tool is very powerful. The reason I say that, it will help you to migrate schema, data, and configuration, all of them. Okay, that's the beauty of this particular tool. Okay, download Chrome. Okay, any luck with our server migration? It's creating the first recovery point. 4 minutes RPO, it says. Okay, that is fine. 4 minutes is very good actually. Like less than 5 minutes difference between the source and destination. It is perfectly fine. Okay, let's give it a minute. We need not watch it. Let's come back here, refresh it. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's give it some time. Focus on the database migration assessment. Okay, whether the .NET is done. Very good. Okay, .NET is done. Oh, okay. .NET installation needs reboot. Huh? So if that is the case, then we need to ask for reboot permission. but you need not install it on all the machine. You just need to install it in one server. It can be a centralized jump server, or it can be any tool server. You can install this assessment tool, and then you can assess all the different database server in your environment. You need not go and install it in each and every system. It can be in a centralized server, the DMA tool, the database migration assistant tool. So don't install it on the source server. It looks like we need to change a lot of things. You need .NET, you need PowerShell latest version, and the permissions also. It's better to go and do it on tool servers or some utility server.
Stan, the assessment, the database assessment server
Yeah.
to be on the other cloud or on-prem or from
If
Azure?
you have connectivity, it can be in any location. But ideally, I would want it to be on the source side in any one of the server, so that it will avoid any kind of permission issues or communication issues. It will be like better to have one server on the source side, either cloud or on-prem or wherever.
Okay, but the one which we are creating and configuring is in the Azure.
Yeah, just mean this. You can think about this server as any server. Okay, it's a SQL server hosted on any location, on-prem or AWS or Azure. So in AWS, I don't have a lot of capacity to play around. I have to, I mean, because I mean, even for the migration, I have to pay at least 2,000 rupees, because it is going to charge me for all these machines. Okay, so I've created a very large size VM, right? If I'm going to run it for a day, it's going to cost me more. So that's why I said you can practice all these things in Azure only. So for data transfer out, also they are going to charge me from AWS cloud to Azure cloud. So this is going to charge me at least 2,000 to 2,500 rupees. If I'm again doing the
So
database
since
there, it's going to be, yeah, go ahead.
right, database. So
Yeah,
database servers are high spec. So we wanted to do it
correct.
within
Yeah, do
Azure
it in a
itself.
location within our free trial or within our budget. We can do it. Yeah. Okay, let that
Okay,
happen.
Stan. Okay, Stan. Got
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. So let me log into the Azure machine here. Okay, now we have restarted the machine after installing the .NET framework. Okay, now we can go and run the database migration assistant. Hopefully, this time it should not throw any error of compatibility or prerequisite missing. Okay, perfect. It has installed the database migration assistant. Okay, sorry, I'm back here. Okay, now I can just go and create a new project. Okay, I can either create a project here, or I can also create a project in Azure Migrate there itself. So here I'm going to say, this is my on-prem to Azure project 1. Okay, and it is asking me what is the source, whether it is a SQL or a AWS RDS. So if it is a AWS RDS, you can choose AWS RDS. You can also try this. Okay, so if you have an AWS relational database server, and from there, if you want to migrate it to Azure platform, you can also do that directly. So here I'm going to do it for SQL Server. and it is asking me whether it is a SQL Server on Azure VM or on premises. You can choose. If it is an on-prem, you can choose the last option. If it is Azure VM one, you can select this option. Okay, so it depends on the source side. You can select that. Now we are going to do the assessment only, not the migration. So when you do the assessment, there are two things it is going to do. Okay, it is going to ask me like whether it is a SQL Server 17. We selected 17, right? So we can select that, and it is going to check the compatibility issues, and also it is going to check the feature issue. Meaning, it will tell us whether it will be compatible with the destination, or whether the Azure platform does not support it, or if there is any compatibility issue or feature issue. That is the two things that it is going to tell us. Okay. So see, why we need to migrate the database. So we are migrating to a modern platform in an Azure platform, right? We are going to migrate our on existing databases to Azure modern data platform. And in order to do that, we need to check the functionality test. We need to check the compatibility test, all those things, right? First thing is the compatibility test, then the functionality test, and we need to check the schema conversion possibility. Okay, whether the schema will be able to convert it to the destination, whether if there is any impact or any issues with that. So in order to do that, we can also have a database creator on the destination side. For example, I can just go and have a Azure SQL database kept created and kept ready. Okay, so that I need not go and create it from the wizard. I will say this is my select something. I'll select migration. I will say this is Azure DB1. I'll create a new server. This will be Azure SQL DB server 1. Okay, I can use SQL authentication. I'm just creating a database server and database on the destination side, on the Azure side. Okay, to check the compatibility difference. Okay, something wrong with my left side. Okay. I'll explain all these things tomorrow also. Okay, so don't worry about the database and all those things. I'll explain what are the different options, what is the difference between each of these options. We'll definitely discuss tomorrow, but I'm just creating it for some testing. Okay, to make sure we have two different things to compare. Okay, so I have something created on the Azure side. Now I'll compare it with my existing source side. So whether these two things will work with each other, or is there any compatibility issues, whether I'll be able to move the databases table from source to destination. That is what I'm going to show you now. Okay, so here, let this get created. Okay, now I can just go and check the compatibility issues and click next. And it is asking me which server to connect. This is why I said you can have it in any location. If you have a server which is publicly accessible, you can give the public IP. Or if it is a local system, I can just give local host. Or if it is a remote system, I can give the IP address or FQDN or whatever. I can either use Windows authentication or SQL authentication. Both of them will be supported because I have given both the options. I mean, I've enabled both the options. It is showing me there are two databases in the system. Okay, in that particular server, I have a on-prem DB1, I have a AWS DB1. So it is asking me which ones to select and assess. I'm selecting both of them, and I'm starting the assessment. Okay, it will go and check the SQL Server 2019 engine, and it will check both the databases, and it will tell us which options will work, which options will not work, and all those things. It is checking the compatibility now. Okay, there are no compatibility issues. I thought the smiley is a little different, but it says there is no issues. So it checked 140 different checks, and all 140 is compatible. But if you're trying for some SQL Server very old version, 2008 or 2012, sorry guys, I'm using my mobile network because of broadband issue that is keeping me disconnected quite often because of a lot of incoming calls. So now I'm on the same screen. Now I can just keep that report for my migration documentation. I can say this is my project 1 migration report. I can keep it for future references. Now, once after I am done with that, I can just go and modify something or whatever. I can restart the assessment or I can save the assessment. Okay, so let me save it. Okay, now I'll go and do the actual migration. Okay, so here I'll just give it a on-prem to Azure migration project 1. Okay, now it is asking from which source to destination. So it's a SQL Server, destination is Azure SQL database, or you can select any other option also, whether I want to migrate it to database managed instance or SQL Server on Azure VM or SQL Server in on-prem. You can use this tool for SQL to SQL migration also. It's not just for on-prem to cloud. You can also use it for SQL database server to SQL database server also, even in your on-prem also. Okay, but I'm taking this to the cloud Azure SQL database, and it is asking me whether I want to migrate only the structure or the schema, or I want to migrate the data also. So I generally want to migrate both of them, right? I want to migrate the schema as well as the configuration plus the data information, the content which is there. Okay, I'll just say I want to create both of them. Let me create it. So it is asking which server to migrate. I can just give a remote server. If it is an IP address, I can just give the IP address of that. Or else if I'm already on the same server, I can just give localhost and give connect. It is showing me 2 databases and which one we created content. I think on the on-prem we created content. I'll select this one first actually, and I'll say next. It is asking which one to connect on the destination. So for that, we just created a new server, right? Go to the resource and copy the server name. And by default, the source machine will not be allowed to connect. The reason is here, if you look at the set firewall, it will not allow the IP address of the source machine. So you have to go and add the machine which you want to migrate. Okay, so here the IP address of this machine is 20 25 79 160. 20. Okay, this is my on-prem server. 20 25 79 160. If you have a range of machine, you can give a range of IP. You can give us 10 machines are there. It means like you can just give all the 10 range of IP address. This is for connecting to the destination location. I'll just save this. Okay. I think I selected SQL authentication. Okay, let me go with SQL authentication here. Stan password 203. Okay, let's connect. So this is the target. Okay, source is my SQL server. This is the target. It is saying Azure DB1. So this is the database which we are trying to migrate now. And let me start the connection. Next. The databases and the table. Okay, so there are 2 different schema and table that is there on the source side. Okay, Saturday class and Sunday class, there are 2 different tables that are there. So before doing that, I'll show you the destination side. So on the destination side, if I go and look at the system, if I go and look at the query editor, I can just connect to the destination database and I will show you that there is no database as of now. Login. Oh, okay. I have not allowed my machine also. I have allowed only my source machine. I'll just go and add my machine also. Add client IP. This is my IP from where I am connected. Okay, I'm connected from my home, right? I'm adding my IP here. So you can just click add a client IP. It will automatically add my local IP, my home IP. See, this is the IP that it is adding. 27 ending with 88. Okay, 27 ending with 88. Okay, it has added my own IP address. So that's the reason it did not allow me, but now I can just go and connect now. So in order to connect, I should allow authentication. Failed. Okay. Stan. Okay, it is now available. Okay, so if you look at here, there are no tables. It's empty. Okay, as of now, there is nothing in my destination. Okay, the table is empty. Zero tables are there. Okay, let me refresh one more time. So there is zero table. Okay, I'll just go and initiate the migration now. So I'm selecting both the tables, or if let's do one by one. Okay, let's do the Saturday class table, which has got some content. Okay, and let me generate an SQL. You can do multiple tables at the same time, but I'm just going to do one table now. Generate SQL script. So it is going to create a script to copy the schema first. First thing, it will deploy the schema on the destination. Okay, it will go and say, I need to have a schema with name, number, location, with this many string, character, numeric. So it will go and set the schema on the destination side, because like before copying the data, we have to set up the schema on the destination. So if you look at here, so it has set up the schema now, but the data is not yet migrated. Only the schema is available now, the name, number, and location. If I go and look at the data, it will not have any data now. It will be empty. Okay, results are 0. But now I'm going to actually migrate the data. So if you look at here, now I'm going to click on the migrate data option. So it is going to migrate the 4 rows, which is there on that particular system. If it is like thousands of rows, it will tell you like how many rows are there and all those things. Now migration is successful and it took less time. Now I can just go and run the query again. You can see the data here. Ganesh, US, Bala, India, Nanda, Bangalore, and Karthik, Chennai. This is on the Azure side. So this is how we do a migration, either from SQL to SQL or SQL on-prem to Azure cloud or whatever. Okay, but I'll explain a little more further things on the what do you call Azure database first, and then we'll discuss on this again. Okay, so now any questions on this? I know like this one completed very quickly. This will be a little complicated if you do in your on-premises, but at least you will be able to explain that you have also done SQL database migration as well. Okay, let's go and check our primary thing. Okay, recovery services vault, RS vault, replicated item, configuring the replica. Still it is doing something, huh? Okay. Okay, but again, the failover and test failover options are now available. Okay, so that is fine. Only 4 minutes RPO is there. I'll just go and click failover. Okay, I don't want to do the testing and all. Oh, it says no recovery point. Okay, let's wait for 1 more minute. It's still configuring here. There is no recovery points available. Okay, let's give it a minute. I don't know why it is taking this long, but I mean, it did not take 2 hours. It was only 1.5 hours for now, because we started only around 11, 10, 11, 15. So it only took 1.5 hours. It's already healthy and it's configuring the replica. Does it allow test failover? Okay, it doesn't. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's wait for some time, 1 more minute. Or else like if it is, I will just give it 2 more minutes. If it's not completing, we'll see the failover and the testing tomorrow. Okay, that shouldn't be a problem. But I have to stop the replication on the source side because it is going to continuously data transfer and I'll have to pay for it. Okay, I'll stop disable the replication after the first RPO is complete. Okay, any questions on the database migration assistant? See, with database migration assessment and migration tool, the first step is to do the assessment. Okay, and the next step is to do the actual migration. So while migrating, you can migrate only the schema or you can migrate both schema and data. We migrated both of them. So you can migrate it from SQL to SQL. You can migrate from AWS RDS to Azure SQL. You can migrate from SQL to Azure SQL. Just SQL means it can be any version. Okay, lower version to higher version, one SQL server to another SQL server. It can be anything. Okay, you can also migrate from SQL to Azure managed instance, Azure SQL managed instance, or you can also migrate from SQL on-prem VM to SQL Azure VM. You can do it any, all, I mean, all these things are supported. You can also go reverse way also. Okay, it's a very easy thing. Okay, only thing you need to just at least practice couple of times, and then you'll be able to understand it. Okay, still it's showing configuring the replica. I initially thought it will not complete today, but at least we are at a very closer stage. We are almost only one step away from completing. If the first recovery point is seen here, okay, then we are good to fail over. Okay, it's already 12:46 here. Okay, let's not keep the people in US awake. Okay, let's go and continue this particular failover and other things tomorrow. Okay, so any questions on the overall procedure process and the theoretical items which we discussed? How we start with the migration, what is site recovery? Go ahead.
Stan,
Yeah.
so we have installed the database migration assistant in
Yeah.
one of the DB server, right? So you
Yeah.
also said the migration assistant can be installed in any other server and source location. So
Correct.
which means we can install it in even a normal Windows server, right?
Yes, yes,
It
even in your machine also. Yeah, Windows 10 also. Even in your laptop also you can install it. Yeah. So if you look at the requirement, it says Windows 7 64-bit, or it can be anything higher than Windows 2012 and above.
Right. So
Yeah.
the best practice is not to install it in the source database server itself. Instead, you can
Yeah,
use a some
correct.
different server, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So in this case, the Windows machine where we are installing the database migration assistant will act like a configuration process server.
No, not really. See, this is mainly to check and migrate, but the data will transfer from source to destination directly. It will not come to the server.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So
Unlike
that
your
is just for
server migration.
correct.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
server
Just
migration, you will have a different method. Yes. Yeah.
okay. For the
Yeah.
database, there is no any connectivity between the Azure cloud and the source machine where we have the migration assistant installed, right?
Yeah. So if you go and look at here, you will have all the data stored on the Azure side. So if you look at Azure Migrate, you will see the content, whatever we assessed, all those things will be getting stored here. If you look at here, the one assessed database instance is here. You can see the instance version and all those things. Because we used localhost, it is showing 127. And also we'll see the access database detail like the on-prem Saturday DB, all those things. You'll be able to see all the data, whatever assessment and whatever we did, all these things will be on the Azure Migrate console also. Okay, I've muted your line. There was some background noise. So here you can see which are the databases we assessed and the server we assessed, and all the data will be on the Azure console also. But actual data will get migrated from the source to the destination. It doesn't need to come to Azure. Only the migration assessment and the job that we created will be seen on the Azure console.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so if that is the case, we'll connect again tomorrow and then just give it a try on completing this part. So because it is just stuck on configuring the replica, which is the very last step, but we are already little, late for today's completion time. So let's see. So when we come back tomorrow, I'll show you how to do the cutover and validation verification testing, and we'll close off. Okay, I'll stop the recording. Any last question before I stop the recording?